Thank you to the American Philatelic Society for their support in the making of this video. For information on membership and APS services, visit stamps.org. This is a stamp from Romania, as we can see at the bottom, Posta Romana. It depicts a building with an antenna that is labeled as the Romanian television building that is located in the capital city of Bucharest. The face value is 12.75 lei of the Romanian leu, and there is a postmark. It reads Bucharest with the year 1972, the year that this stamp was issued. The stamp is part of a definitive set featuring buildings. It's in a light blue-violet color and measures 24 by 33 millimeters. Romania is located in Central Eastern Europe. Part of its border is formed by the Danube River, it has access to the Black Sea, and borders 5 countries including Bulgaria, Serbia, Hungary, Ukraine, and Moldova. Because of its location, Romania has a complex history. It served as the crossroads of civilization where the Goths, the Huns, the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and the Ottoman Empire all had a presence here. So its history is rich, and its philatelic history is also very fascinating. It begins back in 1858. Romania at the time was actually divided into 3 main principalities: Transylvania, Moldovia, and Wallachia. It's the Principality of Moldovia that began to issue the first stamps back in July of 1858, the famous Aurochs, or bull's head. It has a very simple design. It's a circle with an Aurochs head and a 5-point star coming from Moldovia's ancient coat of arms. There's a postal horn at the bottom with the stamp's value, and in Romanian Cyrillic letters are the words porto scrisori, indicating postage for the letter. The concept was very new to the area, of course. They were the first postage stamps to have been issued by any Eastern European state, and they were only issued from July to October of 1858. You might recognize it from the 1963 film Charade, where Audrey Hepburn has in her possession 3 very valuable stamps.
Sorry, I don't know anything about stamps.
I know them as one knows his own face, though I had never seen them.
The 82 Aurochs on the right is hanging out with a couple of other big boys, including the super rare Fierce Skilling Orange and a 3-cent Hawaiian missionary. None of those stamps really exist. For whatever reason, this famous philatelic movie scene includes 3 stamps that are only meant to resemble real valuable postage stamps. And that's the Trace Killing Yellow, which was a value of 3 and not 4, and in yellow. The movie's 3-cent Hawaiian missionary was resembling the 2-cent version in real life, as it shares the same murder story.
It's called the Hawaiian Blue. In 1894, the owner was murdered by a rival collector who was obsessed to own it.
And then the Aurochs head, which is made to be the most valuable stamp in this movie, has again a face value that does not exist. It was likely resembling the 81 denomination. The director probably changed those stamps up to have the freedom of making up values and fitting it to the story's plotline. Which, yes, I know, if you haven't seen the movie, those stamps and that scene are part of a major plot twist, which I've just spoiled for you, so I'm sorry. But it's been out since 1963. Okay, back to Moldovia. In November of 1858, a 2nd issue was in use, and then later a 3rd issue, this time a square design, and instead of Romanian Cyrillic, we see the words Porto Scrisori in the Latin alphabet. There's also one with Porto Gazette. These were used for sending newspapers. In 1859, the 2 principalities of Wallachia and Moldovia united, and Moldovia still circulated those 2nd and 3rd issues for a few years until 1862, when they began issuing stamps as united Romanian principalities. These stamps have a very similar design. They show the Aurochs head with the 5-pointed star, there's a postal horn, and now there's a crowned golden eagle holding an Orthodox cross, the coat of arms of Wallachia. The use of these coat of arms together are symbolic for the unification of the Romanian people, that being of Wallachia and Moldovia. Originally, when Moldovia was using its coat of arms on the stamp, it was actually a bit of a political statement to the Ottoman Empire that was ruling the principality, by displaying its identity through its own coat of arms and not pointing to its Ottoman ruler. Romania today uses a coat of arms that features the coat of arms of each of the regions that make up the country. That includes the Eagle of Wallachia and the Aurochs of Moldovia. This is a set issued in 1932 to celebrate 75 years of postage stamps for Romania, 1858 to 1933. This is a really cool set, paying tribute to this simple design of those first stamps and featuring the imagery of the other regions that make up Romania. I realize that I've been saying Aurochs a lot, as if I know what an Aurochs is. I don't. An aurochs is or was a species of cattle, wild cattle that roamed Europe before becoming extinct in 1627 when the last one died in Poland. Apparently it is the ancestor of domestic cattle, and they could be found from Europe through North Africa, the Middle East, and as far as West China. But their final stand was in the area of Lithuania, Poland, and Moldova, before becoming extinct due to hunting, disease, and loss of habitat. Now I know, and you know, what an aurochs is, or was. I have to thank you, the viewers, for helping out with this video. Turns out there are a number of Romanians that watch this channel, and one of you sent some of these stamps, actually all of these stamps, so it was inevitable that I was going to pull a Romanian stamp at some point. Also, I've been offered assistance with writing a script, doing the research, pointing to topics that I could cover, and even accommodation if I was to visit Bucharest. Thank you very much. I'd love to visit Romania sometime in the future. Now, looking at these Romanian stamps, their postal service has celebrated sports, industry, art and architecture. Then there are hints of communism, while at the very same time, appreciation for the United States. I have stamps from when Romania was a kingdom from 1881 until the Second World War. I have stamps with King Carol I, King Michael, who was actually king twice, and King Carol II. It was also interesting to learn that King Carol II and King Michael were descendants of Queen Victoria of the UK. Did you know this, Romania, that both of those kings were also avid stamp collectors? A popular story in Romanian Philately takes place during an important year in Romania's history, 1989. These stamps were issued celebrating revolution, primarily the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution. There's the storming of the Bastille, as well as important figures and influences of the revolution. There's also imagery of the Second French Revolution, the July Revolution, with the image of the young boy from the painting Liberty Leading the People, as well as Marianne of France with her Phrygian cap. That image of Marianne actually looks very familiar. You might recognize her from this stamp, which is Gandon's Marianne, the very first stamp that I pulled from the box for this show. Also, one of the stamps displays Wallachia's revolution back in 1848, claiming inspiration from the French Revolution. Anyway, these stamps are interesting because they're almost foreshadowing events to come. In 1989, when these stamps were issued, Romania had been under an oppressive communist regime with Nicolae Ceausescu as its dictator. The Romanian people had suffered tremendous hardship during his time in power, over 20 years. Ceausescu's regime was very much influenced by the dictatorships of Stalin and Chairman Mao, but it was the irresponsible management of the economy and relations with the people that led to tensions that escalated in December of 1989. Demonstrations in the city of Timisoara saw the killing of over 90 people as the military and the government's secret police shot the unarmed demonstrators. Word of this quickly spread throughout Romania, and during a televised government rally in Bucharest, things took a turn for the dictatorship as people began to chant their support for the city of Timisoara. The people also began cutting the communist symbol from Romania's tricolour flags. Romania at the time had a communist symbol in the center of its tricolor flag. Well, the people began cutting that out. Flags with holes were waving throughout Bucharest. Eventually, the energy gained momentum and the army took the side of the people. To make a long story short, Nikolai and his wife were overthrown, eventually captured and executed. You have to watch a documentary on this. The way the story unfolded was intense. Just months after these stamps were issued celebrating revolution, the people of Romania revolt, bringing an end to the dictatorship. The very next year, in 1990, these stamps were issued celebrating Romania's revolution of 1989, one of which displays the TV building that are pulled from the box. This TV building was of symbolic and strategic importance to the revolution. During the communist rule, Romanian television was at the service of the government, used to spread false information and propaganda. When the revolution began, the people took over this TV building and broadcast messages to the people of Romania, letting them know that the revolution was on and that the dictator had fled.
Dictatorul a fugit! Român. Victorios! Victorios! Am învins! Am învins! Am învins!
Like I said, these stamps are almost foreshadowing events to come. They're about a revolution and they were issued just months before Romania actually went through a revolution. One thing to notice is that the artist is the same person for both sets of stamps. I think that just makes these stamps even more interesting. From a people's perspective, this was an emotional revolution. It saw the loss of over 1,000 lives, and seeing it being captured, honored, and celebrated on these postage stamps so shortly after the revolution is quite amazing. They very clearly illustrate the feeling of shock as well as confusion and desperation. While at the same time, there's clearly intense national pride and jubilation as the Romanian people stood up to their oppressors. I learned a lot in this one, from extinct wild cattle to a dictator and a people's revolution. This was fascinating. What amazing things are you learning about in your philatelic adventures? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching and happy exploring.